Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the National Education Cycle. I will be your FASI, Alex, and today we're going to be talking about the exchange standards. So this is going to be the flow of the session. We're first going to talk about why are standards important, and then we're going to go into more detail about the actual standards. So why are standards important? Essentially, a standard is a level of quality. Our exchange standards are exactly that, the level of quality of our programs. When we deliver on our standards, our EPs go through the experience that was promised to them in the first place. So it's very important that we deliver what we promise. So, exchange standards are the quality criteria delivered by Isaac to our customers, youth, EPs, students, etc. Exchange standards are the responsibility of both the home entity, which is Poland, and the host entity, for example, Germany. For youth, as we consider preparation, a formal point where our leads are considered a customer. So essentially, right when the EP pays, they turn into a customer. The standards for youth start on preparation, on the preparation stage. Okay. So I don't know if you remember this. There is one actually session about the customer flow, but essentially both exchange standards and partner standards are aligned to the customer flow. That means they are numbered chronologically as they have to be delivered. But in this session, we will only be talking about the youth standards, or since we're not going to be working with partners, since we're talking about OGT, not IGT. So now that we know a little bit, now that we understand a little bit why exchange standards are important, we're going to go into more detail about the actual standards. So here you can see the list of all the 16 standards we have. It's divided into 3 sections: preparation standards, experience standards, and post-experience standards. So preparation standards is all the standards before the EP starts working. So when they start working is when they are realized. During their experience is the experience standards, so from the first day of work to the last day of work. And post-experience standards is when they arrive back home. So these are the first 8 standards from before they start working. As you can see, there's 3 standards that OGT has to fulfill. We have to fulfill. That's a personal goal setting, outgoing preparation seminar, and making sure they have their insurance, while the host entity has to fulfill all of these standards. Okay, so that's what's very important, that we stay in communication with their host entity, because as you can see, the next group of standards is all from them. So it's very important that we have a really good communication system with our partners, with the host entity, to ensure that our EP is being delivered what's promised. And more about how we're going to be tracking that and communicating that with them is going to be talked about in a later session. And lastly, the last standard, which is what we do, that is the debrief with Isaac, or a reintegration seminar, where we talk more about how their experience was, and then we go over the whole standards and have them fill out the survey in front of us, which is the best way to ensure that we deliver other standards and to answer any questions they may have. So these are the standards that are delivered by OGT from us, and these are other standards delivered by our partners, by the host. Okay, and so these are all the 16 exchange standards. This is kind of going brief, but throughout this presentation, I'm going to also show you where you can access more in-depth information about every single standard. So as you can see here, if you go to the link here, all you need, which I also provide a link at the end of the presentation, you can see every single standard in detail, about the definition of the standard, where the question will appear, and exactly how the EP will be answering the question to the standard. Okay, and so as you can see, part 1 are all these standards before the realization date, so before they start the first day of work, and part 2 are all the standards the second, right when after they're starting their work. So there's going to be 2 parts of the survey, and the first part of the survey can be done before they start work, and the second part of the survey can happen after they begin their job and finish their experience. And as you can see, the exchange standards are evaluated through a survey that the customer will be able to fill in Isaac.org after an email notification. So that notification the EP will receive through their email. And as you can see here, the notification might look something like this. There's going to be questions of the survey in the platform. And lastly, the summary of the survey once the EP will fill it. So it's going to be a whole summary. This is kind of something that the EP may see, and this is something you can explain to your EP. And lastly, as I mentioned, if you click this link here, Isaac, all you need, you can find everything you need to know it's very broad in some of the aspects like customer full value proposition, but they talk about standards in this website and it really goes into detail about it if you want to learn more. But I hope I was helpful and thank you for listening.